All right. Welcome to the Aquatics Committee meeting to hear about plans to reopen our 3 APS pools. This is our first virtual meeting and probably the first meeting of a joint county and school board advisory committee. We think we have thought through all the technical and legal challenges to comply with the requirements for this type of meeting. We hope there are no glitches, but if there are, we ask for your indulgence as we try to fix them. First, we have to take care of some committee business, which includes the requirement to record all roll call votes. To open the meeting, I am verifying that we have a quorum. Committee members, please unmute your mics and respond to the roll call. Howard Siemens.
Here.
Thank you. Guy Land.
Here.
Christy Soward. Ron Campes.
Here.
Mackenzie Kearney. Mackenzie? Okay. Was that a yes? Anyway, was that a yes? Did anyone? Mackenzie? All right, we'll move on. Carla Fletcher?
Here.
Cynthia Hilton here. So we have a quorum. Thank you. The minutes of our April 4th meeting were distributed in advance. Does anyone have amendments they would like to make? Okay, hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the minutes in a second?
Madam Chair, I move the approval of the minutes.
Okay, thank you. Motion made by Guy and seconded by, was that Christy? Okay, Christy seconds. So you need to announce your votes. Mr. Siemens?
Aye.
Mr. Land?
Aye.
Ms. Soward?
Aye.
Mr. Campes?
Aye.
Ms. Fletcher? Ms. Fletcher? I'm kind of here. Okay, and Ms. Hilton, aye. So the minutes are approved as read. So as we move to the presentation to reopen for reopening plans and public comments, I want to say that staff has worked very, very hard in these challenging times to prepare a plan to accommodate our pent-up desires to safely return to the pools under phase 2 restrictions, only to see the governor's announcement today that phase 3 will begin in Arlington on July 1st, unless the county requests something to the contrary. In short, this is a moving target, but thankfully moving in the right direction. In the meantime, reopening under either phase 2 or phase 3 is still not back to business as usual. As you know from the meeting notice, you had an opportunity to register in advance to speak and or post questions, comments online in a chat format. I want to thank in advance Kevin Cronin with APS and Anthony Morton with the county who are monitoring the chat to ensure that comments or questions are addressed, while Helena Machado, APS's Director of Aquatics Management, who without her efforts we would not be reopening our pools, presents the plan. Following Helena's presentation, we will hear from those who registered to speak, but first, John Chadwick, the Assistant Superintendent for Facilities and Operations at APS, has a comment about our present challenges and how far we have come. Thank you, John, for all you do for our community, and time is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Hilton. I want to first of all thank everybody for their patience, because I know what avid swimmers you are and how hard it must be not being able to do it. Cynthia has told me several times that the bathtub just doesn't work. So I want to thank you for that, for your patience. And I also would like to compliment Helena, because I think we have a great plan for moving forward. She's going to give you details about that plan. And she's worked very carefully with her staff. And honestly, it's the best reopening plan that I have seen. I think she's also going to update you that we have been sitting around doing nothing. And we haven't only just been planning, but we have done some work on the pools and taken advantage of the fact that nobody's in them, they're not being used, and we're able to do work that can't normally happen. So I hope you'll all be back in the water very soon. and that we won't be, I hope personally, that we won't be reverting back to phase 2 or phase 1 once we've gone back in, once we go into phase 3. And I personally cannot wait till we get to whatever is after on the other side of phase 3. Thank you.
All righty. Helena, your time. But Helena, we're not hearing you.
You're muted, I think.
Of course. I will start from the beginning. Good evening, and thank you for being here. Thank you for the Aquatics Committee for their work in supporting some of the background work that, particularly Cynthia, the work that we've been doing trying to get this this plan together, as well as the entire staff group. Cynthia already mentioned Kevin Cronin, but the entire Glenn Denning is with us too. I think a couple of other staff may as well be here as well. And they have been great at reviewing it and keeping in touch with things and making sure that we have a good plan to go forward. One of the things I think we've learned in this entire process, or this entire experience that we've had in the last couple of months, going on 4 months, is that we need to stay very flexible, very agile. And as information comes to us, we sometimes think we've got it all figured out, and then we have to go back to the beginning. So we shall continue to do that until we've got it just right. So what I'm going to share with you tonight are sort of broad strokes of the plan. Some of the details still need some working. But these are the things I think people are asking questions about, and also the things that that we would really appreciate. If you see a flaw with our plan and you can bring it up, maybe we can make it better. Or if you don't quite understand how it's going to work, then we need to change our messaging a little bit. So I do want to thank the folks, the handful of folks that sent questions ahead of time. I hope that I've incorporated your concerns, comments, and questions into the presentation. But if I did not, we will have some time at the end of this meeting to do a little, to hear your comments if you want to speak, or do some Q&A based on how much time we might have left off. So I'm going to go over the sort of the key topics of what a swimming pool reopening plan is required to have, or is suggested that it should have. I want to back it up and tell you that our plan that staff and I have worked on is based on guidelines from the CDC. It's based on guidelines from the Department of Health, Virginia Department of Health, the Environmental Health Division, as well as consultations with Arlington County Department of Health, Environmental Health Services Division. So we have checked and double-checked with folks. We believe we've got this aligned with the requirements, and we're ready to share it with you because we're pretty sure that it's good for that. So here we go. So we'll just go through, and I'll remind you again that Anthony and Kevin are going to be monitoring the chat on the Teams file here, transmission here. So if you have a question, if I say something you want me to expand on, or we could do a parking lot and I can come back to it. If it's something really sensitive, we can, the guys will let me know if I need to stop and back it up and explain. So you can, it's a small group, so we can be as interactive as we need to be to make it useful for you to spend your time with us. So that said, okay, the screen is not working for some reason. Hang on, my screen. There we go. I went like by the time. All right, here we go. Let me start by giving you the overview, and there's a lot more detail out there for you to get yourselves busy with. But these are the things that we really had to take into consideration as we sort of built our plans, as sort of the framework for our plan. One, the Virginia State Health Department has determined that for indoor swimming pools and fitness centers, we have to maintain a social distancing of 10 feet, not 6 feet. And that's a little bit different when you think about it. Everybody in the building has to have face covering, including the staff and the patrons. They have allowed for a maximum of 3 swimmers per lane, but I'll talk later about why we're not actually doing that and our rationale for it. They are requiring us to make sure that all swimmers shower before swimming. And they're also requiring that visitors to the building, or patrons in this case, would be would go through a health screening, which consists of a temperature check and a series of health questionnaires, health questions about your current status. And we'll go over that in a little bit more detail as we proceed. They're also, for phase 2, they're also restricting the activities for indoor swimming pools to lap swimming, water exercise, water walking, that sort of thing, where people can pretty much either maintain a distance or do it if they're static, they can do it to maintain 10-foot distance. They're also allowing diving, springboard diving. So some of our dive teams are really excited because they were able to get back on the diving board sooner than most people. There are some guidelines for things like swim teams and small group lessons and organized activities. But at this time, we have decided to sort of open up slowly, work out the kinks, make sure that the water's wet, so to speak, before we start adding more things to our to a rather complicated plan. There are also some specific guidelines for the lifeguards. So the lifeguards will also have to social distance for 10 feet. So you will be seeing our staff with sort of a perimeter built around their guard chairs, so you can't cross. There will be a distance at the front desk. They will be wearing face covering, except during water rescues or if they have to blow the whistle or something like that. There are some modified protocols for rescuing, particularly anything that has to do with ventilations. For those of you that have a lifeguarding background, we have to switch to providing ventilations with bag valve masks exclusively. There's also a requirement for us to clean all high traffic areas and hard surfaces in the pool. So that's door handles, rails coming in and out of the pool, shower handles, faucets, locker room benches, bleacher tops, countertops, door edges, anything that people touch, that has to be disinfected systematically with a high-power EPA-approved disinfectant every 2 hours. And then they also want you to do a full facility cleanup, like from top to bottom. Everything gets disinfected at the end of the day. The staff will also be going through the same health screens that we mentioned for the patrons, so temperature checks and the same questionnaire. So again, activities that we are allowed to have for phase 2 are lap swimming. APS is going to go with 2 swimmers per lane, and the reason for that is because we sat and we talked about this for a bit, and we actually determined that we can have better capacity in the pool. In other words, we can put more swimmers or more people in the pool if we do 2 to a lane than if we try to do a 3 to a lane and then have to worry about speed. So for those of you that swim at our pools and know about the circle swimming, when you are circle swimming, you have to be in the right speed lane. And my nightmare would be that we had all fast swimmers and 1 slow swimmer, and where do I put that slow swimmer, or vice versa? And then we've lost a spot. We've lost an entire lane for that person. So I think you'll understand. I think you'll recognize that this is it's actually a good strategy. So we're going to do lap swimming obviously in the lap pools. Washington Lee will run, for the most part, will run 10 lanes there, with some exceptions. So we're accommodating other activities at some of the time. The other pools will run 8 or 6 lanes, again, same thing, whether or not we're accommodating the water exercise and water jogging, water walking. We're going to designate swim sessions for lap swimming, for water exercise and water exercise / walking, and for water jogging. And you might say, why are you doing that? You're just limiting the capacity. We're not. We're actually making more space that way, because we've decided that we could put we can manage the 10-foot distance with water joggers in deep water, for example, which frees up lanes for more swimmers and also gives us more space in the diving well to put more water joggers. So basically, the team and I went and we tried to figure out 10 feet apart how many people can we put in each one of these sections of the pool so that we don't have any empty space, any water empty space that we could otherwise fill. John Wasserman, the pool manager at Washington Liberty, some of you may know, either found or construct. I think he constructed this sign because people are confused about how much distance 10 foot is. So I want to give him recognition for his graphic representation. It's pretty far, so maybe that will stick in your mind as you go through the locker rooms and try to maintain the distance. Let me backtrack a little bit in case you haven't heard. The reason for 10 foot is for fitness centers and swimming pools is because anytime where you have increased heart rate, breathing rate from exercise, from straining yourself for whatever activity, then you are exhaling. Your exhalations are stronger and more frequent. So that actually increases the opportunity for the transmission of the virus to be available for somebody else to pick up, so to speak. So that is the reason for the 10 foot. And we also heard with phase 3, even though we're not sure when Northern Virginia will go, whether we'll be in phase 3 or phase 2 when we open the swimming pools remains to be seen. But phase 3 is not very much different because even though they've increased building capacity, they are still keeping the 10-foot distance for swimming pools and fitness centers. They are still saying lap swimming 3 per lane. They are saying water jogging, water exercise, diving. They are allowing for small group instruction, provided we can keep that social distance of 10 feet. So it makes it a little bit difficult for us to teach any group where you need to have an instructor in the water for the safety of the children or the swimmer learning, the individual learning to swim. So there is some opportunities there, and Anthony and his team and I will be talking later on this week, in fact, to sort of explore when and how we might bring some of that activity back to the pool. And the other thing that we can do with phase 3 that we can't in phase 2 is to actually have organized group swimming. In other words, family groups can come to the pool, be given a space, a spot where they can swim together. So we will be adding to our list of activities that you can pick from when you come to the pool. We'll be adding a family swim or a group swim activity. It's going to be because of, again, the 10-foot distance that we have to keep between groups. I don't think we can fit more than 4 or so per instructional pool. And we'll look for some water for some of the kids to get back in the water as soon as we can figure that out. So this is a little confusing, but I just wanted to share with you how the team and I went through figuring out where everything's going to go. So these are sort of sketchy diagrams of our swimming pools, and we'll be posting this presentation online after this meeting, so you guys can have a closer look if you like. So the different circles and such are the different ways that we're going to use the pool to put people in. So this was very useful when we were trying to figure out what the schedule might be and also how many people we might be able to put in the pool at one time. When we give space to lap swimmers, then we don't have space for water joggers, but if we give space to water joggers, then we reduce the space for lap swimmers and so forth. So this really helped us to sort it out. So I hope that if you have the desire to study this, that it would be somewhat informational about how we got to where we got, because I know it was a bit daunting for us. So I'm sure it would be as well for somebody coming in not being familiar with how we break down the pool. It's not very different than what we break down the pool under normal circumstances. We'll just be putting fewer people into those spaces. So let's talk about the different activities. So we'll start with lap swimming because that's probably 80% of our swimmers, maybe more. We're going to require you to book your swim. So you're going to be, I'm going to get into that later, but you're going to be given a swim session and an activity session, and the activity could be laps. It could be water jogging, it could be water exercise or water walking, and all the 3, and then later on we'll add the others. And you'll select those activities from a schedule that we'll provide. But the way we're actually going to run the lap swimming is we're going to, let's assume we have 8 lanes to work with. We're going to actually book sessions of 8 swimmers every 15 minutes. So 8 people will come in to the pool, let's say at 6 o'clock. and they will come in at 6 o'clock, and they will be checked in between 6 and 6:15 is when we'll go through the health screening, and then you go to your locker room and you go get your shower on, and then you go on the pool deck, and then you'll have 45 minutes to swim. At about 6:15, we will let another group of 8 swimmers in, so that we've spaced out the space in the locker room. We're sort of playing the odds between the genders, male and female, rotating through the locker room at nearly even numbers, which is probably not going to be the case, but we'll manage that a little bit. So that second group of 8 swimmers will then come in, and in within a half an hour we will have, and then once we get this going throughout the day, we will always have a total of 2 swimmers per lane in the pool, unless we've stopped to do something else with the spaces. When you come in, you're going to be given a group. So you're going to be either the east or the west side group, or the north-south group, or the left-right, whatever. So when you come in, the people that come in for the first group will be lane 1, 3, and 5. 1, 3, 5, and 7 will be on the east side of the pool. 2, 4, 6. I'm sorry, that should be 8. Should be on the west side of the pool. I was thinking WNL, which is 10 lanes. And then you'd add like the 9 and the 10 for WNL. And then, so that when you come in the water, you'll see the diagram in this next door. You'll have the blue swimmers will be in, and then the red swimmers will be in. So that even when you're coming in and out, there will be some sort of desired. Will help you separate when you're doing the thing about taking your goggles out, jumping out of the pool, that sort of thing. So when the next group comes in, we'll do the same thing, but they will be off time from you, so they will not be getting out at the same time, and they will obviously not be getting in at the same time. I'm going to anticipate a question, and that is, what do you do about people crossing? And the health department was very, very clear about that. They're not so worried about that instance in time where you might pass another swimmer, although they do want us to enforce that nobody is at the edge of the pool, either edge of the pool, at the same time. Our lanes are only 7 feet wide, so we're short. So we have to do this. If we're on the same side of the pool at the same time and stopped, then we do need to have that offsetting that you see on the diagram here. The sessions are going to be 45 minutes in swim time, and we hope that we can do the check-in of 8 people. That's another reason why we're doing the check-in of 8, so we can process you through the check-in quickly, so you can easily have your 45 minutes. I don't want to start getting into a situation where our sessions are running over and making it difficult for folks to get their swim done at the scheduled time. Bad enough that you have to schedule it. One thing that's going to be different when you come to the pool is that there will be no kickboards or jogging belts or any of that available to borrow while you're at the pool. We are going to be working towards buying this equipment, so that brand new equipment off the box. And if you want to purchase your own, that you can just bring back to the pool, be responsible for it, and it will only be you using it. We're going to try to facilitate that. But for the time being, part of the recommendations is that there will be no shared equipment at the pools. So, if you're a kickboard user, you'll need to either get one from us or go to Sport Fair and get one. So a lot of people are asking me about why are you going to be open for early bird? Are you only going to open for 2 hours? We're pretty committed to letting you back in the pool. We really are. So we're going to open from 5:30 in the morning until 8:30 or 9:30, depending on what, or 9 o'clock, I think, depending on what pool you are going to be using. And we're not going to stop. In other words, it's summer, so we don't have any reason to stop. So we will have, I think, quite a lot of capacity for lap swimming and water exercise and water jogging throughout the day, assuming, of course, that people can be flexible about when they can get their swim time in. You'll notice some odd times of ending, like 9 o'clock at WL, when we typically go until 9:30. And the reason for that is that another swim session would put us too late for our custodians to clean up. So we're just breaking it down a little earlier so that we can have the cleanup. The evening cleanup is going to be very much more involved than normal operations would be. So we need to give them some time to get the cleaning done and still, get out of work at their regular schedule. I'm showing this.
Helena, Anthony here.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. It seems like Mackenzie has a question. I don't know if you want to take the question now or if you want to wait to the end. Mackenzie, you can come on and go ahead.
Okay, Helena, I think I heard you say something at the very end of, you can bring in your own private kickboards though, right, and pull buoys?
Correct. Yeah, bring your own training kit if you like, yeah.
Okay, That's what,
For everybody else, we ask that you use chat to put your questions there, and then rather than interrupt Helena's presentation, when she gets to, and she has some segments, when she gets to the end of a segment, then we've asked Anthony or Kevin to convey what the question is rather than taking time to hear from individuals through the chat function. So if everyone could cooperate with that, we just want to make sure that we're able to end on time. Thank you.
So we're going to get to a stopping point, a pausing point here pretty soon. But yeah, Mackenzie, that's a great question. You will be asked to sort of dip your equipment in, before you just leave lying around. The good news about it, the pool is a great place to clean stuff out. But unfortunately, we can't, well, for personal use anyway. So I started to say, please don't hold us to the schedule, because we're still working out some kinks. And if we open in phase 3 and we decide to add that family group swim, we may need to adjust this a little bit. But this is sort of our guidance for right now. And I wanted to share this with you all, because I wanted you to know that we are committed to opening as much as we can, okay? So that to give you all as much opportunity as we can. But some of these exact hours may vary slightly. So this would be what a swimming pool schedule might look like. So I talked about the 6:15. Now this is check-in time at 6:15. This is not AM or PM. This is just a sample. And you can probably guess that this is pulled out from Washington Liberty, because you see 10 people. So that's the number of swimmers. So that's the time, the activity, the numbers, the time of the check-in, the number of swimmers. Somebody suggested, I believe it was the chair, Cynthia, suggested that I add the in and out time for the swim. So I'll add that to the final schedule when we print it, when we publish it. And then what side of the pool you'll be assigned to. So group 1 will be, and that actually is contrary to what I just said. So we may change that a little bit. And then at 6:45, so 6:15 and 6:30, we'll be checking in lap swimmers. At 6:45, we will be doing checking in some water joggers and some water walkers exercises that will go in the diving well or the eye pool, depending on whether they're jogging or water walking. And so those folks will come in at 6:45. Then at 7 o'clock, that 6:15 group is out of the water. So we'll check in the next group of lap swimmers, and so on and so on. You will notice that throughout our schedule, when we publish it, you'll see these blocks of about a half an hour for cleaning the pool. We're giving ourselves, for cleaning the locker rooms and stuff, we're giving ourselves a half an hour. We think we can get better at it after we get started. But for right now, we want to make sure that we have sort of an expeditious process for going from top to bottom and get all the surfaces and all the things that we have to get. So I don't want us to rush and miss something. So I want to kind of make sure that all of the teams have a chance to get used to doing it right. This will be depending on the lifeguards to do this throughout the day. But notice that when nobody's in the locker room, we will be cleaning. So we're not actually shutting down. We're just shutting down the locker rooms. Okay. So that's what the schedule is going to look like for now. Let me pause here, and I saw a couple of things on the chat coming up. Do you guys, Anthony and Kevin, do you want me to address some of those questions now?
Yeah, I'll jump in. A question was asked, do you expect session durations to change depending on how many swimmers end up using facilities in the coming days?
Yes, I believe that we may have some times of the day when we can offer longer sessions because it's not quite so popular. But I need some data for that, because right now I would really be speculating. And since we don't have anything to base these plans on, right? So other than the staff's sort of feel for when people come. So we thought, let's keep it simple. Let's start slow. Let's see what we can do and how we can push forward on this. We may also find that we've allowed for water exercise time, and in some of the particularly like Yorktown, or particularly at Yorktown, we may have taken some lane space out to allow for the water exercisers to get in there, but we don't have any takers at that particular time for water exercises, so we'll adjust the schedule accordingly. At least at first, we'll make sure that what we're trying to do right now is to make sure that whenever we're open, there's a body in that water doing whatever it is that space is supposed to be used for. And if we end up with empty space, we will either allow for some longer sessions or different, more lap swimmers.
And then clarification from Cynthia, 6:15, that's the check-in time, or is that the time that they're going to be at the pool? Or
that's the check-in time on this schedule, but we'll. I got some feedback on this. We'll make sure that it says check-in, swim time, exit time, so folks are not confused. And when you do your reservation, you'll have that information as well. But when you're on your confirmation, but yeah, we'll make sure that's clear.
Another question from Mackenzie, or it looks like a comment. She says, Governor Northam announces we're going into phase 3, July 1st. I don't know if you had a question there, Mackenzie, or.
Okay, this is Cynthia. Mackenzie, that was already announced at the beginning of the meeting.
And because people may be joining late, yes, we do. We're aware that July 1 is a target date for phase 3, and as we mentioned earlier, phase 3 is not that much different for us. So we would be at phase 3. We would be adding that family swim opportunities, and maybe after we run for a couple of weeks, and as the previous question, we might be making some adjustment to the schedule of the offerings that we have and the length of the sessions. But yeah, right now there's not a whole lot of difference between phase 2 and phase 3 for indoor swimming pools, which is actually a good thing because the plans still be good, even though we're moving ahead. And I'm so proud of us Virginians for being in a position, particularly Northern Virginians, where we're so densely populated. I'm so proud that we're able to do what we had to do to get to this point now. I saw a question, I think it was from Ron, regarding face coverings when you're swimming. You
Yes.
will not swim with your face covering on. You'll take your cover off as you prepare to swim. So you'll take your cover on, put your goggles on, and go swimming, and then replace your cover as soon as you're back to your bag. Okay, I think.
Ask, what day are we going to open? I'm sorry about that.
What's that?
Cynthia's question is, what day are you going to open?
So I don't have a date yet, but we so the official date for opening is between early and mid-July. We have a date that we're working back from. And although we are pretty ready to go as far as the logistics of all of this, which I am sharing with you, there are still some issues related to the reentry for workforce for our lifeguards and pool managers and things that we have to put in place, policies and procedures that we have to put in place. We're working very, very, very hard. Our entire team at APS is working very, very hard to put these things in place, and we will open as soon as we can do so, and making sure that we are compliant to rules and regulations, not just for patrons but also for staff, and also that we are not violating any APS policies in the process. So I'm confident we'll be opening soon, but unfortunately we were hoping we'd give you a date today, but you'll hear the fireworks when we have that date confirmed. I'll make sure that everybody knows about it. Anything else related to what we've covered?
I was about to say, do you have room for another question, or are you about to resume?
Sure, go ahead. Give me another question.
Sure. Guy asked, do we have an adequate number of lifeguards?
So we've been very fortunate, Guy. We have, as you know, a lot of our lifeguards are also students with either local universities or at our own high schools. We have, with the help from the pool managers, pretty soon after we shut down, we reached out to them, and we've been doing some virtual training with them. We've done some fun activities like watching videos of bad rescues and then criticizing them. And sometimes we've watched videos of good rescues and then, found out how we could have done better. Currently, we are having them review the entire video collection of the Red Cross training program under which they are certified. We can't get them in the water to practice any water skills, but we can certainly do that. So we've been staying in touch with them. We've been sort of engaging with them. And I probably should ask Kevin and Glenn how they think we are for lifeguards, because they're monitoring that. But we asked the lifeguards to give us what their availability would be for a start date of July 1 and beyond. And so we will know pretty soon whether we have a full complement of lifeguards. Arlington Schools also was able to continue to compensate lifeguards even though they weren't working. So they were paid some hours from when we shut down until just now, until the end of the school year. So folks have stayed engaged, and they've been happy to participate in the training. And I think we'll lose some to the outdoor pools, but we always do. The part that's got me a little scared, guys, is that normally I can train new guards and recruit, and I'm not able to train new guards right now. So we're all competing for the same pool of previously certified lifeguards. But one of the good things about COVID is that operating on the COVID is that we don't need as many lifeguards to operate lap pools as we would if we were having lessons or free swim and so forth. So our workforce plan looks pretty good. It looks pretty solid. We'll know more probably at the end of this week when we have the full estimate from the kids, from the lifeguards, about their commitment to work through the summer. All right, let's move on to the other hot topic from the comments that I received ahead of the meeting, and that is the memberships and passes. So some of you use our memberships because you have use our swimming pools, and you have an annual membership or a 3 or 6 month membership. Some of you may have swim passes, and some of you may just pay as you go. So these are the 3 ways that people get in to use the pool outside of a scheduled program with Parks and Recreation, for example. So we tried to figure out what's the best way to do this. We heard from some clients that they would be. Oh, let me first say, all your memberships are frozen. So you are no expiration dates. There's been no expired memberships as of March 14th, 2020, which was the last day that we operated. So all our memberships are frozen, which means that however much time we stay closed, you will be added to your expiration date on your membership when we resume operations. And then talking with some folks and getting some feedback, I heard that some folks were concerned that even if we open tomorrow with these restrictions and so forth, that here's some of the concerns that were shared with me. One, that they may not feel comfortable, safe, health-wise, coming to the pool until we're further along in dealing with this, pandemic in a positive way. 2, that they are worried that they have this membership for which they paid and used to give them free, open access to whenever was convenient, whatever time of day, etc., and for however long a session they wanted. And now we're saying you can only swim for 45 minutes, and and there may not be any swims left on Monday by the time you try to register to book a swim. So we talked about it, and we talked about how can we make this equitable for those that are opting not to swim for whatever reason or can't get in. And then the other thing that came up, and I'll be honest with you, this was probably the thing that tipped it. Our software company that we are going to use which is the same software company that we use for our memberships, and all of our finance stuff that we do at the pools, was having a little trouble with differentiating between free swim access to members and could not handle at all the swim passes, the punch pass kind of idea. And so we were having a little bit of trouble sorting that out and figuring out how we're going to do that. So it occurred to me through some conversations with folks, namely Cynthia and a couple other folks, that and I believe that may have been actually a suggestion that came through Cynthia, that why don't we just keep all the memberships frozen until N passes, until such time as we are able to resume to a more normal, so that you would have guaranteed to be able to take a spot, or at least, if not, maybe even just come in whenever you want to and swim for as long as you want to. So in other words, get past phase 3 sometime in the next couple of months in a more normal operating, at least access-wise, a more normal operating model. And we talked and we kind of decided that that would be a really good option for us from a managing the option standpoint. So that's what we're going forward with. Now, if you are a member that wants to not have to worry about pay as you go and want to just are not worried about losing your membership privileges to the extent that they're, that an open membership gives you, and you want to reactivate your membership, we can do that on a case-by-case basis, and then you'll be given another way to sign in, to log in to sign in for your swims. But it'll be much easier to do it to smaller group to get that set up on request for a small group of people than it would be to do to our 2,000 so people. I don't know, they all have active memberships, but we have about 2,000 people on our membership lists. So it would be very difficult, very time consuming to set everybody up. But we can do the folks that want to open their memberships up. So I will leave the option here for folks to respond to, and we'll talk about how you can do that later after the meeting. And also, you just contact me by phone or email should you want to have your membership reactivated once we open up. Let's keep going in for a little bit, and then we'll stop for some questions. I see they're coming in fast and furious. So the drop-in fees. So when you register for a swim, you will be charged the normal drop-in fee. So the school board approved these fees for 2021 on May 7th. So adult residents would be charged $630. Children will be $250. And seniors over, that should say $60. That is an old slide. It will be $410. College students with ID would pay $5. And I added the family up to 5 people swim. When we do the family swim at $17, that's up to 5 people. It could be any combination of adults or children. So that's our skeleton baseline drop-in fees that were approved. We are at this time not allowing non-residents of Arlington to book swim times. However, we do have a handful, maybe 10 folks that have memberships, and I thought it would be the right thing to do to extend them, since they are members, to extend them the privilege of being able to book a swim with us if they have a current membership. So we'll hear from them if that's something that we need to take care of. It's a very, very small group of people. And some of them may not even be interested at this point. Looking forward, I just wanted the school board did change our fee schedule, and everybody that enters the pool going forward will be charged an admission fee, even if you're participating in a group exercise class. So we have changed our fee schedule a little bit to include a 6 swim, an 8 swim, and a 25 swim, which we hope will align better with the classes that Parks and Rec will be offering later on. And also we changed a 6-month membership to a school year membership that runs from September 1 to June 30th. And it's priced the same way, but it's just a slightly different period. So we hope that this will assist folks who are participating in the classes to be able to pay for their admission without having to be too far off the normal thing that they would be doing. So reservations and admissions. So swim activity sessions are 45 minutes long. I know I've said that before, but I will repeat because people probably didn't hear me. The reservations will be done online. We will be setting up our software system has what we call a self-serve platform. So we'll be setting that up so that you guys can use that. We will set up a phone line that folks that are not able to get on the web or don't have web or whatever could call in to make reservations. And I still have to work out the details of how we're going to make sure that access is as equitable as possible, that the phone line opens at the same time as the online registration opens. As I said, we restricted to Arlington residents with some very small group exception to non-resident members. And it would be limited to one booking per day. So you can't be really tech savvy and sit in front of your computer and schedule 8 o'clock on Friday, your swim time for 8 o'clock for the rest of the summer. You can't do that. Or 8 o'clock every day for the next few months. Can't do that. You'll have to log in every day to register. Again, if we find that we end the day with plenty of open spaces, or enough open spaces that justifies us making that reservation time earlier, or allow for more than one reservation, we'll be evaluating that. We'll come back to the Aquatics Committee and the community at large for some input on that. We'll be probably surveying you guys, the entire group that is participating, a week or two into when we resume operations. Okay, so but that's right now. It's kind of pretty consistent with what other indoor facilities in the area. We are in constant contact with our colleagues, and this is kind of what they're doing, is to try to manage and to try to make sure that everybody has a chance. So right now the plan is to open the registration line for each day by 8 a.m. of the previous day. So at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, I can book a swim for Thursday. Anytime. Now, once it's open, as long as there are open spaces, you can register. So if you decide at 3 o'clock that you've got time to go swimming at 5, you can log in and see if there's a spot open that evening. You can still get in. So, as long as there's spaces, you can book. So we're not going to close the booking at a time. It'll be open until it's filled, kind of thing. The reservation system does allow for wait lists. So you can wait list yourself. And then you'll get an email notification that your 3 o'clock spot open. There's a 3 o'clock spot opened, but you'll only be able to waitlist yourself it won't tell you there's a spot at 5 o'clock. Hurry up and sign in. So it'll be the time that the time slot that you put yourself on the waitlist for. But you can come in and you won't have to pay before. You won't have to pay until you actually have a booking. So you can put on the waitlist without having to pay up front. However, once you make a booking and you confirm your reservation, then you'll be charged that $6.30 or $4.10 or whatever the amount is that corresponds to your age, and all sales are final. So I heard a nightmare from colleagues in another pool where people were reserving and then not showing. So they had half the pool capacity and lots of people on their wait list. Their program was not as good at waitlist monitoring as I'm hoping ours is. So that was very disturbing. And so we decided that a no refund policy. Once you book, if you don't use it, you lose it, kind of thing, because that means somebody didn't get a chance to get in, and maybe this will motivate some people not to do that. Okay, not to just book unless you're really committed to coming, so that we don't have an empty pool at the end of the day. So let's stop here for a minute before we talk into the logistics of how the self-service works. And you'll need more instructions on this, more detailed instructions. But I just want to give you an overview just to appease any worries about how complicated the system may be. It's actually quite simplistic. It's 3 screens and you're done, kind of thing. But let me pause here and let me check with Anthony and Kevin about any questions about the whole membership thing that I just covered. Make sure we don't get too far ahead of ourselves.
So there were a few questions. I'm sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
Only question that I think that we need to really talk about, or is what we're getting ready to talk about right now, is the self-service invitation and how to create and do all this booking.
Okay. I saw, I have my phone running in the chat, so I saw somebody asked about, not sure if they're a member. Non-members can register. We'll just have to set you up on the self-serve. Yes. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, our system is open. You don't have to be a member to be set up. Although what I'm going to cover right now is specific to people we have on the system already. But it's really easy to put you in the system. And when we put you in the system, we can invite you to self-serve going on. Side note, bonus. once we've been waiting for this self-serve to be really good, and this is another one of the benefits from COVID. The software company really got their act together and got this to work better. And one of the advantages of self-serve that we've been monitoring and kind of planning to do sooner, as soon as we felt that it was going to handle it, is that you'll be able to renew your membership online as well. So you no longer have to come in 10 minutes ahead to get your membership renewed. And we think we may even be able to do new membership sales online, as part of this new self-serve platform that they've just developed. So, good news all around, I guess. So how does the self-serve invitation work? So all of you everybody that we have on our member management system, the company's name is Easy Facility, so I might refer to it that way, so you don't think I'm making it up. It's actually called Easy Facility. Easy Facility, we have X amount of members on Easy Facility, and if we have an account for you, that means you either had a membership or swim pass with us, or you took a lifeguarding class, or one of your kids signed up for camp, or you might have participated in some of our clinics that we had a couple of years ago, or you didn't want to bring your ID card to the pool every day, so we set you up as a PayGo client so that you don't have to show your driver's license and don't have to bring it to the pool, even though you may be paying general admission every time you come. So there's a bunch of people in the system. All of the people that we have in the system, we will be able to send an email to you all saying, join our self-service platform. And what you see here on the screen, on the left side of the screen, you will see this is what the email you'll get. You've been invited to. And you'll just click on that accept invitation, and it will take you to a couple of screens to set your account up. You'll need to do a login name and a password. I'm sorry, there's going to be another password in your life. And then you'll be able to access the Easy Facility platform for reservations, for membership renewals, for signing up for classes beyond like lifeguarding classes, camps, all of that. You'll be able to do that with a little bit easier. When you're done with your self-serve setup, you'll be given a login page. Whenever you get into our system, you'll have this login page that you see here on the right. When you click on that, you log yourself in, then you will be taken to a page that shows you the different packages. That's what Easy Facility calls you. So the different swims that you can sign up for. So you will have, and this was a bit of a test here, so don't freak out about the pricing because we just put stuff in. So it was lap swimming, drop-in adult lap swimming. So it's going to be $6.30. So I click on that, and as you can see there on the screen, or I can click on a family swim, or I can click on a water jog session, or I can click on a senior swim, lap swimming seniors, so that it gives me a different price, etc. Once I click on that, then you are taken to a next screen, which I'm sorry, one back. Here, you'll click on the cart. It's kind of hard to see with this color, but there's a cart here. So you select it, and then you click on the cart, and then it takes you to this screen where you complete you make sure that you've got everything right. You can input your credit card. It's totally safe, secured platform. You put your information in, and then you click on over here. It shows that you've signed up for one adult swim. And you complete your checkout. You click on complete your checkout, and you will be taken to the schedule page. And you will see that there will be a series of schedules. There will be 8:15, 6:15. It will be Wakefield, WNL, whatever. And we wanted to keep the screens kind of simple, so we just put one up for the test. So you would click on that, and when you hover over it, you'll see lap swimming at Wakefield, 45 minutes. And wow, there's 8 spots open for 6 p.m. to 6:45 tonight. So I guess I missed it. So you'd click on that, and now you are booked for that session. So you get this screen that it repeats what you've got, and then you say book, and you're good to go. And you'll get an email saying you are booked for the 6:30 to 6:30 to 7, whatever it was, at Wakefield on Tuesday the 23rd. And that's it. You're done. Then you pack your swimming bag and you come to the pool. That simple. Questions? Chat questions?
Yes, Cynthia said, please clarify if a senior swim outside of senior hours, they will pay the senior rate.
Yes, great question, Cynthia. And also thank you for bringing up the senior swim, because one of the activities, I can't believe I forgot that. It was on that schedule and I just went right over it. So what we, sensitive to the CDC requirements or recommendations, guides, whatever, and the state health department's recommendations for individuals over 65 and other individuals at higher risk for the infection with this virus, we have created pockets of time where it's seniors only. So this is probably one of the times where the pool may not be as busy, but I think I'll be surprised by how many people are seniors, and we'll take advantage of that. So again, we'll monitor that. If it turns out that we have too many in a day, and then we have we find that most of our 65 plus folks are gathering at a particular time, we may expend that time and keep it there instead of doing it several times a day. But I don't know if some of you noticed with the sample schedule, there was a darker spot that said senior swim, so that you would be able to select that as a reservation. But you can also buy a package for senior swimming. So whether you're doing a senior swim or a lap swimming senior, the price is the same. So when you swim doesn't matter.
Great.
That makes
and
sense?
Ron asks, how does it work for existing members?
So members will pay as you go unless you choose to defreeze or reactivate your membership. And then we will set you up so that you can go through this process without putting a credit card in. But only members can do that. Swim pass holders cannot. So we can set up your account where you would simply book without a charge, basically.
That was the last question that we have.
Okay, perfect. So let's switch to, okay, you've got your reservation, you packed your bag, and you grabbed your brand new kickboard and you came to the pool. What's going to happen when you get in? Well, admission to the pool is going to be through the same front doors that we've always used. And you're going to enter through the front doors, and you will be wearing your cover, your face covering, and you will be asked to use the hand sanitizer that we placed at the entrance doors. Try to, after you touch the door, you can go ahead and sanitize. Then you're going to proceed to the front desk for your health screening. One of the staff members will be receiving some training. We'll use an infrared thermometer to check your temperature. According to CDC guidelines, the temperature needs to be below 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit. If you come up with a fever, we will give you a few minutes. In other words, if your temperature is over 100.4, we will give you a few minutes and do a second test. If your second test is still over 104, you will be asked to leave and not be admitted to the pool. You will also be asked a series of questions that are questions that were developed by CDC and the Virginia Department of Health and vetted by the Public Health Department here in Arlington as well. I'll show you. The questions are on my next slide, I think. And you'll need to answer no to all those questions. If you answer yes, then that means you will not be able to swim that day. Okay. You will then proceed to the locker rooms. You will change into your swimsuit, or maybe already on your swimsuit, but you'll put your clothes aside and you will take your face cover off and you'll take a shower before swimming. And you'll replace your cover, pick up your bag, go out on the deck. The staff will have told you what side of the deck you need to go on and what lane. Well, we're not going to give you a sign your lane, but just, odd or even lanes. And you will be told, like, let's pretend Washington Liberty, go and put your bag on the bleachers next to the classroom. So there will be spots on those bleachers where you can keep your stuff 10 foot apart. You'll put your stuff there, you will remove your face covering, and you'll go to the lane that you are going to swim in. You get in, you do your swim. And, one thing I forgot, it's not on my list, so I forgot. When you check in at the front desk and you've been cleared to swim, you'll be given a particular color wristband, one of those Tyvek wristbands or something like that. And the reason we're doing that is to help the lifeguards sort out how many people are in that came at whatever time. So if we have the backlog, we know where the backlog is. And also so that if you came in from 6 and your check-in was at 6, you're in the water from 6:15 to 7. When I blow the whistle at 7 o'clock, I know that all the blue wristbands need to get out. So that will be easier for us to, manage the crowd. Because remember, we're stacking this. It's scattered, but it never stops. So if somebody doesn't get out, that means we have a backlog. So we're trying to see how we can control that the best possible. So that's what will happen to that. And then, again, you take your shower, you go to the designated area, take your face covering off, put your bag on the designated spots on the benches, and go swimming. When you're done swimming, we will blow a whistle, and we'll talk about this. There's a slide on it, and you exit, and we will ask you to exit through the emergency door on the deck. So all the pools, some of you probably don't even notice, but there are emergency doors right off the deck. So the health department wants us not to have two-way traffic through the building, at least at this point, and that will remain through phase 3 as well. So you're coming in through the locker room, going on the deck, and then exiting straight out to the parking lot through the emergency doors. So there will be no going back and changing in the locker room after swim. We think we can do this okay, so we say successfully while it's still warm out, and then when we move into fall, we may have to see where we are and how we can change that, and that may change our schedule. So we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there, as the saying goes. So just wanted to be upfront with what the health screening looks like. So as I mentioned, the lifeguards will be using an infrared thermometer. It'll point at your forehead and get your temperature reading. And they will ask you these questions. So I'm not going to read them to you. I'm sorry, you've seen them before. But things like, do you have a fever? Do you have a... we'll ask you the question even though we took the temperature. Are you experiencing a new cough, sore throat? Have you been in, I think there's a question missing here, but have you been in contact with somebody that tested positive for COVID? So this is just a sample of what, and this is a couple of the things that our senior management for APS is working through, because it's the same screening for staff as well. So we'll all be going through the same thing. So that's the screening. Let's take another closer look at the locker rooms. Locker rooms will be open for check-in. You will use your face covering, except when you're showering. Ron, I anticipated your question. You'll maintain 10-foot distance. So again, try to put yourself 2 arms out, a noodle plus an extended arm, and another person on the other side with an extended arm, the picture that we showed you earlier, and try to imagine how many people will our locker rooms accommodate. And we did this little test. The staff did this little test, and I think we're comfortable saying that we can rotate through 4 people, because 2 people will be putting their bag down and 2 people will be in the shower, and we think we can keep the flow going. But again, it's one of those things we're going to have to monitor. If it turns out, wow, we can do more, then we'll do more and change that booking from 8 to 10 or whatever. So we will make sure that we adjust as we learn from all of this. Lockers will not be available. So you will take your personal belongings to the designated area on the pool deck, as I mentioned before. Again, if we open the lockers, then that means that after everybody went through the locker room, we would have to disinfect the lockers. And we just don't have the time. And frankly, the manpower, if we're going to keep, that means we would have to close the pool to do all these things. So we're trying to do it in a way that we can keep you swimming rather than keeping us cleaning, and then just do the cleaning as intermittent times. Obviously, some people may need to use the restroom while they're in the pool, so some sort of two-way traffic will be allowed, but we'll be restricting the use of restrooms while doing swim sessions to the family changing rooms right off the deck at all the pools. And we'll see how that works. I think it'll be all right. I prefer that to the public restrooms because they're right, except for Devon, where they're a little bit further in. They're right off the deck, and well, Wakefield as well. And we don't have you walking on slippery floors and stuff like that in between your swim. And it's closer so you don't waste any of your precious 45 minutes. So as I mentioned before, exiting the pool, you'll hear a whistle. You will get out. You will put your face covering on, grab your stuff, and see you tomorrow. And exit the pool to the emergency doors, like we said. I'm going to stop here for questions from the chat.
All right. So will they be able to buy the swim passes through self-serve and use that as their bookings?
No, not at this time. So the only way to do the reservations right now would be to pay as you go, or if you have a membership that we activate. So one could buy a membership, like a 3-month membership, and have that option attached to that purchase if you don't already have a vehicle that you swim with us, and you want to do that. So, certainly that's okay, and we could do all the members that way. It's just a little more complicated to set up, but we can do it. And we were a little bit scared. I was a little bit scared about having to set up over 1,000 people to do this when we're trying to set everything else up. So the idea of the frozen membership was just an easier approach to it. Because the swim passes are like a punch pass, so every time you buy 10 and every time you swim you lose one, the package purchase system doesn't allow you to do that in the system. That's something that our software company is looking at. And in the past, they've been quite receptive to our suggestions and responsive, but we haven't set that up yet. So they don't have it yet. So it may be something that comes up later. When we are past this and on the other side of COVID, and we're back to swim whenever you want, as long as you want, then yes, the swim passes will be able to be bought online at that time.
Okay. And then say they wanted to activate their membership, came in, swam once, and then decided that it wasn't going to work out for them, can they freeze it back until we open back up fully?
So I'm going to give you a really hard time, but yes. No, of course you can. I would suggest, actually, if I may, a better approach might be to try it and see how cumbersome it is to do the pay-go, and try it out, with just the $6, $4.10, whatever it is. And if you find it to be a good deal, then you can make the decision whether you want to unfreeze a membership or not. But of course we can freeze your membership back if you need to. Any other questions, Kevin?
Yep. So there's one from Howard. The last one we have here says, and it doesn't seem like a question, it's a comment. The target is 10-foot distance. It's counterintuitive that we may pass facing each other, breathing hard in the same lane, and facing the person in the adjoining lane without risk.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that. There was a seminar put on by the Virginia Department of Health, and that was a question that we were all asking. We were especially concerned when they were saying 3 people to a lane. And for some reason, and I don't remember all the details, all the technical details, why they determined that would be okay. But they did. So timing is everything, I guess, on this. You're close to the water, so the idea of the aerosol is controlled, because you're breathing right into the water. I could give you a really hard time, Howard, and say if you're properly swimming, you're exhaling in the water, not on top of the water. Although we know that's not true for everybody, but a lot of fitness swimmers will be exhaling in the water. So the health department did think about this one very carefully, and they determined that it was that quick pass where somebody maybe just at the right time is it's a risk, but it's not a high enough risk to keep you from swimming.
And then
I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, and then one more. Is there going to be a designated area to dry ourselves outside of the facility?
I hadn't thought about that, but we can certainly look into that. So I have to think about our different facilities. So Yorktown, there is a little grass area right outside the exit door that you could certainly, take a moment to organize yourself. But nobody's going to kick you off the deck in a hurry. To the extent that you're not going to be taking a shower and changing your swimsuit, but it will give you a chance to dry off. I mean, it's not like grab your stuff and go, put your shoes outside. So I mean, there will be, we're calculating a little bit of a rotating time there. WNL has you have a little area right side of WNL as well. We can't really let you out through the sun deck because there's no way to get back in. In theory, you could exit through the sun deck at Wakefield and walk out the parking lot through a bunch of stairs, but you can also walk out to right outside the emergency door, which is in that awning that leads up to Wakefield. So I think there are some spots where folks could choose to do that. But I also think that the way we've done the schedule, you'll be okay with getting out of the water and taking a few minutes to, take the excess water off your body and put some clothes on to drive home or walk home or whatever. I think we can work with that.
And then the questionnaires, will those be filled out by staff or by the individual people?
What would be filled out? I'm sorry.
The questionnaires,
Oh, there won't actually be written questionnaires. Great question. We will ask you the questions. So the record would be on the check-in system that we have. We will know that Helena Machad came in for the 6 o'clock swim and passed the test. So there will be a check mark. You've been checked in. If you got checked in through the easy facility, then you passed the test. So that's how we have to keep that record, by the way. And we do have to check you in that way because of contact tracing. So if there was a perceived exposure or anything the health department wanted to follow up on, and they wanted to know, Helena tested positive and she was there at 8 o'clock and there were these other 16 people with her, they would have to follow up with that. So that's part of the requirement by our local health department that we have a record of that. We do have a written form of the test that when we start taking swim teams and swimmers, little kids in, that we're checking with our legal department on this, whether they would be able to bring the test filled out by their parents. But right now it's just a verbal test. Of course, the other thing that you'll see when you get on our website to register, and that's not gone live yet, but when you go to make your booking, the first thing that we'll say is, please check your answers to these questions. And if you answer yes to any of them, don't book because you're most likely not going to pass the screening test tomorrow or whenever you come swimming later on today. So we're going to be trying to promote the idea of the self-testing, self-screening, I guess would be the best word, and that you would make the right decision for yourself and others. And if you're not well, not to come swimming. Just like if you're not well, you shouldn't go to work or to the grocery store or whatever. So that will carry through as well.
Okay, that concludes all the questions in the chat for right now.
Okay. Is there anybody in the call that wants to either we've got a little bit of time, that wants to unmute?
Helena,
Yeah.
Hi, it's Cynthia. Do we not have public speakers?
We do not, because we had 2 people that signed up and both of them said they aren't going to come. Let me check real quick who's on the call here. I looked earlier, and the folks that had signed up are indeed not here. So,
Okay. Alrighty. So let me just say, in general, thank you very much for this presentation. And we do have time, and so it can be the open forum that you were suggesting. If anyone else has questions to ask at this time.
or you can continue to use the chat if you like.
I have a question.
Okay.
Cynthia, do you miss me? This is Jeff.
Absolutely.
It's good to hear you.
Yeah.
So while people are thinking about it and putting some writing up on the chat, I do want to refer you to my email. If you want to send me a question, give me a comment on this. We'll probably put something on the website tomorrow and send it out through the email system where you can give us more feedback. If you're watching the program later, this will be on our on the Arlington Sports Commission Aquatics Committee website. I'm sorry, I should have put that up here. So you can look at the presentation later. So if you have some friends that weren't able to join us today, they can run that. We'll also put it up on our APS website as well for later viewing. And Anthony, do you know if this would be available for viewing afterwards on the county meetings website or only on our website? Do you know?
I think for now on your website, we should be able to get it up. If not tonight, then by tomorrow.
Okay, great.
Okay,
and
that's wonderful news. So just again, being respectful of everyone's time. Helena, do you have any closing remarks, or John, if you're still there, if anyone wants to do a closing remark, then before I move to close the meeting.
Of course, I'm still here, Cynthia. How could I not be for such an important meeting? No, seriously, this is great. I really do think this is an incredibly well worked out plan. I'm sure we're going to find a few kinks as we go along, and Helena and her most capable staff are really capable of making the adjustments that we will need to do as we go along.
John, I am glad you have recognized that, because I can attest that long hours have been spent, and truly, your staff is trying to do this in a way that will make you proud.
Right. Also, I did see the whole thing on the governor today, and July the 1st, and I don't think it's yet known if Arlington will go to phase 3 on July the 1st, but I think we'll know more on Thursday.
Right. What I said was, unless Arlington takes some action to ask for an extension. Yeah. So anyway.
Cynthia, this is Guy. I just want to quickly add my voice to the chorus of those praising John and Helena and Kevin and the staff and the chair and Anthony for an enormous amount of work to pull together something that looks promising in a very challenging situation. So I think all of us in Arlington are exceedingly fortunate to be surrounded by such a good team. And I just want to say thanks to all of them.
Thank you, Guy. It was all Helena and her team. I just looked at her.
Well, we appreciate all of this. We appreciate everyone who's taken their time to call in and for questions and information that has been shared. We ask for your flexibility and patience, and we certainly want your feedback on how this reopening is working for you and tweaks to procedures that can enhance the experience for all of our users. So, committee members,
Cynthia,
yes.
I wanted to do a quick. I'm looking at who I got off my presentation so I could see who was here. I do want to do a little bit of shout out for the pool managers that joined us. Jeff has already spoken up. Glenn Denning is pool manager at Wakefield. I believe he's with us still. And John Wasserman. Guys, why don't you if you have your cameras, go on and say hello to the committee members. Also, Anthony, do you want to introduce Maya? I see that she's on the call as well.
Yeah, Maya's on here. I didn't want to take up too much time. Just for anyone who doesn't know, my name is Anthony Morton. I'm the Specialty Program Manager for DPR and our Athletic and Facility Services Division. I oversee our aquatics program, our gymnastics program around the county, our fitness and personal training program, and our entire Enjoy Arlington catalog. We've had a vacancy for a while in our aquatics team, and it was our aquatics program manager position. That is now filled. You guys know that formally as Jen Lanehart's role. It's now Maya Pagel, who's on this call with us. We're super excited to have Maya. She comes over from our gymnastics program, and she understands the programmatic nitty gritty that goes into us building out our class program. And I'll just add real quick, without going too much into detail. Obviously, everyone knows that spring and summer sessions were canceled in our class program. We're targeting fall, and part of our strategy was to eliminate like 50 to 60% of our class footprint, just so that we can make sure that as we're navigating all of this and going into fall, that we aren't like in the way. And Helena has done an amazing job here. And I think some of the work that we've done will help us to just kind of dovetail into what you guys have already done, and hopefully not get too in the way. But Maya is here, and I don't know if Maya wants to turn on her camera and wave hello and say hi to everybody. She will likely be replacing me as the liaison from the department to the Aquatics Committee down the road. But as much as I like to be here every month, I'm probably going to still be here for the coming months as well, along with Maya.
Well, let me just say welcome, Maya, and Anthony, you are forever an honorary member. So we are so grateful for you're just a breath of fresh air. We have loved everything you've done. So big shoes you're going to fill, Maya, but we are glad you're at the table. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for welcoming me, and I'm
Thanks,
excited to be
Cynthia.
here.
Okay, so could I get a motion to adjourn in a second from the committee members, please? Anyway, you got to unmute to do
I
this.
motion to adjourn the meeting. That's
A
Mackenzie.
second.
Thank you, Mackenzie. And was that Guy who said
Yes.
so?
That was Guy.
He was a little too eager, I thought.
Yeah, he jumped in.
Why not?
Okay, so Mackenzie and Guy, the minutes will reflect. Okay, so Mr. Siemens,
Aye.
Mr. Land,
Aye.
Ms. Sowert,
Aye.
Mr. Campes,
Aye.
Ms. Kearney,
Aye.
Ms. Fletcher,
Aye.
okay, and Ms. Hilton, aye. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Oh, this was fun.
Thank you, everybody.